We mentioned it earlier. American broadcaster Paula Farris recently suffered a miscarriage and revealed that she brought her 12-year-old daughter into the bathroom to witness it. The mother said she wanted to show her daughter that it was normal and that there is nothing to be ashamed of. She is right in terms of thinking that, but what did you think about her methodology in teaching her daughter?
I was really quite shocked and I'm just totally against that. I think she's right in explaining about it and talking about it, and I just don't think a 12-year-old girl needs to go in and see it. You know, we've got so much now on the internet and things that even if we're not sure how to explain, there's books, there's the internet, there's everything to help us. And I've got a really open relationship with my children in the respect that we can talk about anything. But there's just a certain line, and I think that's crossing it. I think even to see your mother in that situation must be traumatic.
Yes.
You know, so I just don't. I don't see the point in that.
She's clearly had a very, you know, polarised response to it. One person on Facebook said that I think teaching our kids about hard things like death or miscarriage is a good thing. The more you know, when you can see and talk about the hard, scary, or unpleasant things in life, it makes for a more emotionally capable person. And another one said that, you know, kids have more credit than you think. Let them hear about this experience lovingly in your voice.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I agree with that to a degree. But sometimes, you know, I think there's this new form of parenting which is more like oversharing with the child. And, you know, sometimes I'm out and I can hear parents giving blow-by-blow descriptions and breaking things really down in such a way that it's like they don't need to know all of that information quite yet. You know, I'm always the one of let a child be a child for as long as they can be, because once you take that away, their innocence is gone, you know? Children have so many questions anyway. I'll wait for my child. Well, they're adults now, but I would have waited for my child to ask me, because if they ask me, then I will answer, but not to go into that.
To show them.
Yeah, it's just a bit too much.
We've heard from Lucy, and I kind of agree with Lucy on this. She said no one is ever emotionally ready for that kind of trauma, never mind purposely putting someone through it, especially an innocent child. And it's the emotional bit that I can't understand how you would relate that to a child, because we become emotionally intelligent the older that we become and the more experiences we have. And I know friends who quite openly and calmly talk to me about the physical side of having a miscarriage, but the emotional damage and the emotional, you know, the trauma that they go through, they can never relate to that. And having a miscarriage isn't just a physical act, it's an emotional act. And I think that, you know, sometimes a child has to kind of go through that emotional intelligence to fully understand what it means.
I agree with you. I think that. And, you know, this comes at a time when there's been talk of women being treated for post-traumatic stress after experiencing a miscarriage, and having friends and family really close to me having experienced it on numerous occasions. I think you've summed it up so well. It's not a purely biological thing. It's an intensely emotional experience. And whilst I applaud her trying to be incredibly open, I think that you're right. I don't know if children are emotionally robust to understand. I think perhaps go away and obviously deal with it yourself and talk about it after the event when your daughter is old enough to understand it. But, you know, my daughter's just turned 13, and the thought of physically going into a bathroom and showing her what is happening, because then you're having to be strong for them, never mind dealing with what you're going through. But, you know, we all parent in different ways, and also children are different. Perhaps she made the decision based on the emotional intelligence of her daughter. We don't know. We don't know. Can I just pick up on something that you said earlier, Brenda, which was the whole idea of parents oversharing in general. And I mean, moving it away from obviously this was such a hugely sensitive subject. What do you mean by the idea of oversharing? Do you mean just sort of parents allowing their children to almost see them as humans rather than mums, and talking to them on a par, adult to adult? Yeah,
that's it. It's you know, I can't remember what the subject was, but this child asked the question, and then it was literally... But when I say oversharing, she was oversharing with the whole tube. You know, it's like, can you just have that little conversation? I don't want to know what you're saying to your child. And then and they're talking in this high pitch, and it's just a bit too much for me. Let's have a nice little private conversation. But if I'm down that carriage at one door and I can hear what... No.
Do you say anything? Because I wouldn't want to upset you.
No, I get up and go to the next carriage. It's easier. You can't go and tell a parent, can you just keep quiet? Because that'll just start a whole riot.
Yes, yeah, there'll be a whole lot of sharing.
I think with oversharing as well, I mean, Steve says this about... I mean, my mother-in-law is lovely, and if you're watching Margaret, hello.
Oh, she's such a
but I'm
creep.
just about to... but I'm going to... But Steve says that, you know, Margaret was, you know, of the 60s, and obviously in that era, it was all about sex liberation and stuff. So she used, you know, to talk quite openly about, you know, sexual experiences when you first start having sex, blah, blah, blah. And she thought she was doing a great thing. And she kind of was, made it all very open. But Steve said that, you know, later on in his life, he just thought, God, at the time, he's like, I don't want to know. I kind of want to find out for myself. It's kind of a bit, you know, it made it feel like...
I think you should only say it if somebody asks you the question.
That's it, you know, and that was an example of oversharing because I think he said that he felt, you know, it was some sort of taking away his own discovery. He didn't want to know from his mum. Thanks, I know you're trying to do a good thing, but I don't really want to know. So it's a kind of finding that right balance, isn't it?
It is. I mean, parenting, it's the one thing you're guaranteed to totally get wrong.
100%
at the time, but there we are.